It was 2007. The city of San Francisco was alive. Cable cars climbed the steep hills. But inside a small apartment, two friends had a very big problem. Their names were Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia. They were designers. They were artists. But they were also broke. The rent for their apartment was due and they did not have the money to pay it. It was a simple, common problem, but their solution would change the world forever. They looked around their apartment. They saw empty space, an opportunity no one else had noticed. It was a crazy idea born from desperation. They owned 3 air mattresses, simple plastic beds filled with air. Not fancy. A big design conference was coming to San Francisco. All the hotels were full. Their solution? Rent out their floor to travelers with nowhere else to stay. The rent in San Francisco was climbing higher and higher. It was like a mountain that never stopped growing. For Brian and Joe, this mountain felt impossible to climb. Rent day felt like a storm cloud approaching. They moved to the city full of hope and ambition. The reality was harsh. The numbers just did not add up. Their apartment on Rausch Street was home, and their biggest expense. They brainstormed for hours, looking for extra cash, design furniture, new art projects. But those needed time and money they did not have. They needed a solution now. The design conference was the key. They knew the pain of traveling designers. Hotels were expensive, impersonal, often lonely. It was not just floor space. It was a connection, a chance to see San Francisco through local eyes. The empty space became a symbol, problem and solution. Try something, anything, to keep the dream alive. With their simple website live, the waiting began. Brian and Joe checked their email constantly. For a while, there was nothing but silence. Maybe this was a terrible idea after all, but then an email arrived. And then another, and another. They had received 3 bookings. 3 strangers would pay $80 a night to sleep on an air mattress. A 30-year-old from India, a 35-year-old from Boston, a 45-year-old father from Utah. They cleaned everything, inflated the airbeds, laid out fresh towels. When the doorbell rang, Brian and Joe looked at each other. This was it. The meeting was awkward, until it wasn't. They showed them around, explained breakfast. They talked. They asked about work and travels. They shared stories about San Francisco. The apartment became a hub of connection. Strangers became friends. At week's end, guests were grateful for hospitality, not just a bed. The first weekend was a success, enough to pay rent. They brought in Nathan Blacharczyk. Airbed and breakfast became Airbnb. They prepared a pitch. Hotels are expensive. Homes could be shared. They met famous investors with hope in their hearts. They explained a future where anyone could feel at home anywhere. But the investors did not see it. The rejections came one after another. Brutal. One investor walked out mid-presentation. Another said, "I hope you are not the only ones who will use this." Crazy. Dangerous. Who would let strangers in or sleep in a stranger's bed? They pitched 15 angel investors. 7 never replied. 8 said no. Discouraging. Confidence shattered. Money running out again. The dream was on the verge of collapse. Destined to be just a strange story? Not yet. Section 5, the cereal box hustle. It was 2008. Everyone talked Obama and McCain. An idea sparked. They designed, printed 500 each, filled, and glued them by hand. Priced at $40, they mailed boxes to bloggers and journalists. Bloggers loved it. National news picked it up. They were featured on CNN. Obama O's sold out. About $30,000. A lifeline. Section 6. The Y Combinator Lifeline. By early 2009, the money was gone. The website was flatlining. Doubt returned. They heard about Y Combinator, Paul Graham's startup accelerator. He asked, "People are actually doing this? Why?" As they talked, something changed. Paul wasn't impressed by the idea. He was impressed by their hustle. If you can convince people to pay $40 for a $4 box of cereal, you can probably convince them to sleep on each other's airbeds. He saw they were like cockroaches. They just would not die. Airbnb was accepted into YC's winter 2009 batch. They lived and breathed Airbnb. Paul Graham was direct. Go to your users, get to know them, Do things that don't scale. Hosts' photos were dark and unappealing. They took beautiful wide-angle photos for free. Almost immediately, bookings doubled, then tripled. Better photos led to trust, to bookings, to happier hosts. This was the turning point. They had found a secret formula and the data to back it. They hired photographers in other cities. It paid off instantly. Listings with professional photos got 2 to 3 times more bookings. The flat line suddenly shot upward, like a hockey stick. Travelers told friends, hosts told neighbors. The community grew organically. They expanded from New York to other major cities like Paris, London, Sydney. Soon, castles in Ireland, tree houses in Costa Rica, houseboats in Amsterdam. Airbnb was no longer just a cheap bed. It was unforgettable experiences. Thousands of new listings every week, across the globe. It grew faster than anyone predicted. For centuries, travel meant hotels, predictable and standardized. Airbnb offered authenticity. Shop the market, sip at the corner cafe, get tips from a real local. Less about tourist sites, more about experiencing a place. Regular people became hospitality entrepreneurs. Economic opportunity spread worldwide. Not a suitcase in a lobby, but a backpack unlocking a real home. From 3 air mattresses to a global phenomenon built on belonging. Valuations soared into the billions, then tens of billions. More valuable than many of the world's largest hotel chains, Hilton, Marriott. Shocking, Airbnb owned no real estate. No hotels, no buildings, no beds. It ran on trust between millions of hosts and guests. A technology platform connecting people. Waves through the hotel industry. Hotels had to adapt. From identical rooms to cozy apartments, quirky cabins, stunning villas. Broke founders who once sold cereal to survive. Now, billionaires. A legend of perseverance and creativity. They faced rejection, debt, and doubt, but held their vision. They created a new way for people to connect. Belonging changed travel forever. Airbnb became a giant and changed the way the world travels. And with that rise came lessons every entrepreneur can use. The incredible story of Airbnb's rise offers powerful lessons for anyone with a dream. 3 lessons. The first and most important lesson is that simple ideas can solve real problems. They could not afford rent. Their solution was equally simple: rent out air mattresses. Great companies start by solving a common pain with a simple, direct solution. The second lesson is that persistence beats doubt. They ran out of money, were deep in debt, and kept hustling. Cereal boxes, door-to-door photos. Relentless determination, this cockroach mentality, is often the difference between failure and success. The third lesson: create massive success by rethinking industry norms. They did not build a better hotel. They built something entirely different. True disruption comes from fresh eyes and the courage to break the rules. These 3 lessons are the foundation of the Airbnb uprising. They are not complicated theories. They are simple truths proven under pressure. The path was winding and unexpected, like selling cereal boxes or taking photos yourself. That struggle forged the resilience to build something lasting. The air mattresses are gone, but the spirit of hospitality and creative problem-solving remains. From a single apartment on Rausch Street, an idea spread to every corner of the globe. It proved a home is more than a house. It is a place of belonging. It showed strangers can become friends, and the world is not as scary as it seems. The legacy is not just financial or industry disruption. It is the human connections it forged. Today, Airbnb is a verb, a category of travel all its own. Millions of homes, from tiny Tokyo apartments to sprawling villas in Tuscany. Armed with a simple idea and belief in humanity, they built a home for the entire world.